finished my warm-up about a half an hour ago, and now I'm going to do some fundamental work. Today, I want to demonstrate some exercises from Chris Gekker's Articulation Studies, Exercises, Etudes, and Duets. Go buy it. It's an awesome book. I've spent many, many hours of my life practicing this book. So I don't necessarily play all the exercises, but I do want to talk about things as he goes through them, basically to show you how I practice them. So the idea is to keep an even sound and not to go too far afield from your median sort of setup, okay? So the reason I was working on these was I had sort of high, middle, and low embouchures, and really the only ones that worked very well were middle and low. I could get high if I either started up there or if I started in the middle and went up, I could get into the upper register, but this actually really helped me. So I would go back and forth between slurring and tonguing. The next one I might do is different variation. And then I would jump around. I don't generally go straight down the page, go to the next page. I try to jump around so that I'm constantly forcing myself to play with variations in basically variations in the workload. And just a quick note, you can see that I'm playing on the C trumpet. As I've said in other videos, this is my instrument of choice. You should play this on lots of different instruments. In fact, I might grab my E-flat trumpet here in a minute and do some on the E-flat trumpet. So don't stay in one register for too long. Switch it around. I didn't like how I swung up to that A the first time, so I did it a couple more times. I'm going to do it one more time for the beginning. It's a pretty healthy volume. I definitely would practice these slower and with all the variations he has printed at the end of each one. You should do these in all different variations. I like the variation he wrote because it's super awkward. I'm still trying to make sure I always get the pingy, clear, I would call it a Petrushka articulation. Okay? So then number 3, I worked through trying to avoid dropping down for low notes. So for instance, if I start with that same F major key, again, I was constantly working on Petrushka. You want that even, clear, pingy articulation and even clear sound. If you get a murky sound on the low notes or a pinchy sound at the top of the staff, that means you're moving too far afield. You're dropping too much for the low notes, you're pinching too much for the upper notes. So actually, I used to practice like this. The chromatic is just a way to try to fool yourself. But it's a good tactic. It worked with me. And then eventually you can switch to scalar. When I was in school, it might have sounded like, and then that low note would have that dull quality, right? Which just actually makes it sound difficult. So then I would switch to, eventually, after I practiced those things a lot, I would practice. And again, I'm always going for that default clarity, the default style of Petrushka. All these are great exercises. All of these were written to fix a problem in his playing or a problem in the student's playing. Oh no, here we go. Number 11. This is a great one for me. Descending often gives students tons of trouble because we tend to fall, right? So I practice this one a lot, slurred. And for a while, I dropped down so far when I made the leap from F to C, I actually just left the C out. So I would play. And I felt if there was too much bump on the D, I'd leave the D and the E out as well. So you get this. It's all an effort to try to minimize the movement of the jaw and the tongue and stay flexible, right? That's what allows us to stay flexible. Right, so we're always going for that joyful, clear articulation. Well, that was just wrong in every conceivable way. I missed the first, not in every conceivable way, but most of them. Played the wrong key and missed the first note. Let's try it again. I loved 16. 16 was kind of like a frequent, it was a frequent flyer on number 16. And actually, I have to say that playing them straight through like that, I don't really love. And I feel like I'm really getting set in the lower register. So I'd want to go back up and work on my upper register. So let's go to D major. Do that one again because I missed a bunch of it. So again, when we get near the top of the staff, adjusting too much, grabbing too much is going to make us miss, right? And so we don't want to miss, right? The way to not miss is not to clamp down and sort of do da, 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 da. Always think da, 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 da. So it's always from a musical standpoint. You figure out how to get the good technique with the musical phrase. That was a little better. You can see the bell moves more because the aperture is more open, and because my tongue has to drop back a little bit for the lower notes, there's more movement. It's less efficient. So that's why if you play, for instance, second trumpet on a Beethoven symphony all week, where you just smoke in low notes, da, 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 you're just like pounding away down there, it doesn't make you feel that flexible when you're done. Okay. This is number 30. This is a variation that Chris wrote from the Schubert book. It's an excellent exercise. Vary the volume, vary the articulation, but generally it's just fanfare tonguing. So I tend to do these a fair amount pretty loud. More of the same, 31 and 32. 33 was a great agility exercise for me. This is B flat major on page 48. And in that little those little blips, you actually get a good view of the mistakes that I tend to do, which is I try to get a little too much juice out of notes, and then I'll overcompensate. So I get less clarity that way. That time I got what I wanted. I got the juiciness, I got the consistency, I got the ease and the clarity. These etudes, I love these etudes. One is an excellent exercise for marcato articulation. And he was very quick to point out that marcato is not short. It can be short, but it's not by default short. So this is the forte version. Etc. You can hear I had some misses in there, and when you make mistakes, you can double down. You can remind yourself, keep yourself active, hearing the pitches in your head, whatever helps you to sort of get back to your median. I like this because it really addresses the dotted eighth, 16th, 8th feel in 6/8 or 9/8 time. And where I'm practicing right now, I would go back and I would make sure that as I can, I backed off of that coming down, which is why I flubbed it. You should do whatever exercises make sense to you. You shouldn't start at the beginning of the book and go straight through. You should vary it, and the more you vary it, the more you will be able to handle those kinds of variations when you're on a gig, when you're sitting in the orchestra, when you're doing whatever you're doing playing the trumpet.